Well, Merda. Trying to get the drop on old Snee, eh? Trying to sell me false goods. Well, you're not the only one with access to information in this town. You're not the only one with informants. You probably thought you were pretty clever, turning right around and telling the Lord Mistborn somebody has his security plans right after you sold them to me. Well, nobody makes a fool out of Tesney. Not without paying the price, at least. Last time on Lost Legends of Scadrial.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep your eye on the King of Spades.
Is there a way we can talk to Lord Spook? We're interested in the abducted person case.
Mr. Bornholm has gone missing, and we very much suspect that he has been kidnapped by a very skilled group. And if you manage to bring back his research as well, I'm sure we can throw in a couple of extra boxings.
There's been some rumors on the street about this guy named Fent, who discovered some floor plans that are of Lord Spook's mansion.
Tell me, madam, what is your problem?
My husband, Ralston Penrod, those fiends kidnapped him. There is this Kolos-blooded man. I'm sure he has something to do with it.
Now, we're going to have to get our hands dirty, but if you're in it, we're going to kidnap this guy and hold him ransom. So are you in or are you in?
Isn't that a little played out already?
You all happen to see a small crowd gathering around this tallish man with bluish skin.
Lord Falcom runs up and he has his dueling cane in his hand.
Do you wish to test your mettle against me, Allomancer?
I've killed bigger than you before.
Boys, you're both pretty. Can you stop now?
All right, I take my bird out and I immediately throw it at Lord Falcone.
Would you like to aid us on our quest and maybe put yourself in good light?
Merda, I know I'm the stupid one in the group, but I think they're probably not going to be too happy with that.
I must find my own way, and Harmony will guide me. Hello, and welcome back to the Lost Legends of Scadrial Mistborn Adventure Game Podcast. I'm your host and narrator, Trevor. You can find me on the 17th Shard forums as 5th of Daybreak, and with me we have the rest of the Lost Legends.
Hi, my name is John. I go by Clovermite on the forums, and I'm playing Tony Darkomancy.
I'm David, and I play Lord Falcom.
My name is Brian, and my character's name is Tajmil.
My name's Kelly, and my character is Merda.
First, I want to go over a couple of things that have come up over the past couple of episodes concerning the rules of the game. This is going to be more of a storytelling podcast than a rules-focused, hard podcast that you might find somewhere else, in D&D or any of the other actual play podcasts. And with that in mind, we're taking some of the rules very lightly. I've completely disregarded the rules for rioting because I don't think that they lend itself very well towards telling a story. And so those rules are just very loose in terms of our uses for them. But there was also a point brought up by David in one of our last episodes about the fact that I've been giving rewards for nudges when they weren't associated with a success. This is something that I'll probably in the future continue to be just a little bit lenient with when it suits the narrative. And so now we rejoin our Lost Legends. Lord Falcom had stormed off in a huff after the meeting with Gavel and the bad blood between him and the Koloss. There was a quick mending of the altercation that had happened, and now the Lost Legends are going to head to the docks to try and figure out some way to catch up with the kidnappers who took the metallurgist.
Yeah, let's group up together and let's see what's going on with each other and stuff, and figure out our bearings first.
Is Sonichu still hanging out on top of me?
He probably fluttered back over to Tajmil.
Well, I'll stroll over to Lord Falcone. Just give him a pat on the back and say, "How you feeling? You looked a little tired back there."
Lord Falcom's probably just slumped in an alleyway nearby, just chilling. Looks like he's taking a nap.
So I'll go ahead and just kind of riot to make him feel motivated.
John, roll your allomancy, and then David, you'll roll your spirit.
That's 2 5s and a 6.
I got a pair of 3s and a 6.
Okay, so yeah, you don't feel any effects of the rioting.
Okay, so I'm just chilling.
Because I assume you're still in a hostile mood and wouldn't really want to feel motivated and would be opposing it.
He'd just be ignoring Tony at this point. Still shook up, visibly upset.
Well, Merida's gonna walk right up to him and kind of squat to his level and kind of just like look him in the eye and be like, well, you know, if you're really frustrated, we can get on the boat and the sooner you can punch someone in the face.
He'd just silently get up at this point and probably head with you guys if you're walking somewhere.
Does anybody want to describe what the docks look like?
They are a damp and dingy wharf. The water is calm, but it is very muddy, and it's moving at a still pace, let's say.
I'm going to say that there's a lot of lichen on the very far end. Like they've only cleaned it just enough so that at first glance you think they maintain it, but if you look further down, you can see that they've been kind of lazy about it. And I'm going to say whatever building there is with the administration, there's like a flock of about 5 seagulls just kind of lazily sitting there knowing that someone's going to drop food some point or another. And so, Trevor, who do we see as far as people and boats?
So you guys walk up, and as you noted, the docks are sort of in disrepair. They were probably one of the first things that was built in this third octant, which is where most of the action has taken place so far in Elendel. And so they're a little bit disrepair since it's been about 20 years since they were first built. Just enough maintenance to keep them up to shape. And you notice that there's 2 barges that are sitting in the dock, a couple of workers pulling boxes on and off of them, various states of loading and unloading. You can see a couple people arguing, probably over prices, and trying to negotiate some deals. And then right in front of the administration building, there's a very distraught-looking captain who seems to be in a very heated discussion with somebody else.
Can we hear what the captain is saying in this discussion?
Merda, you can hear what they're saying, and he just seems to be very upset about the fact that his canal boat was stolen.
And so I relay this to the other people.
My ears would peak up at the theft in and of itself. Can I approach the captain and ask him for further details nonchalantly? Hey, I overheard you talking with that gentleman there about your stolen vessel.
Yeah, he'll look over to you and he'll say, well, it was those brutes who took the metallurgist, I'm sure of it, because there's no way that they could have been anything else. It happened just last night, right when the metallurgist went missing, and it's all the town's talking about today. But this twit, and he kind of jabs a finger angrily at the chest of the other guy and makes him take a step back, doesn't seem to even care, doesn't want to reimburse me, doesn't want to tell me anything about the security practices. I'm beginning to think that I should just do all of my trading upriver with the homesteaders in Dryport.
I would look to Lord Falcone at this time and see if how he is reacting in this situation.
Probably when Merida told us about the whole thing, hearing it, he probably would have grunted and said, not our problem.
But the metallurgist, though.
Well, we're looking for him anyways.
Yeah, and he said that he thinks it's the same person, so would you have interest?
We're already heading that way, aren't we?
Well, then we can get his boat, too. I'm just,
Are you saying this, right in front of him?
Yeah, we'll say this. Yeah, we'll say this right in front of him,
So, you're interested in the ATM, huh? Well, if you get my boat back, I can promise you at least free passage somewhere in the future when you need it, or maybe some other favor that we can work out, but without the boat in hand, so to speak, I've no interest in negotiating that price now.
Merida's gonna, like, just perk up at the mention of a favor and just kind of rush over to him and be like, "Kind sir, would you be willing to tell us more about what your boat looked like?"
Well, it's a simple trading barge, not quite as large as the other vessels, but because of that, it can travel a little bit more quicker. Its name is Vin, after, of course, a lady assassin who saved us all from that tyrant, the Lord Ruler. I love her dearly as if she were my own daughter, and I want it back as quickly as possible.
While they're talking to him, Tony is going to kind of just try to inconspicuously slide over to the administrator and talk a little bit so that, he's not necessarily overheard, and then nonchalantly pull out his pocket watch and kind of glance at it and say, Mr. Administrator, you've been rather silent about what's been going on. As a potential customer, I'm a little concerned about the practices of this place.
He's just going to look over at you and be like, "What, do you have a boat, son?"
And Tony just kind of nonchalantly puts the pocket watch back and then just gives him the "I am intentionally not answering your question" stare, and then continue to just stare at him.
Okay, are you doing any rioting of any sort?
Not yet.
I don't know what kind of custom you'd have with me without a boat. If you have some business with another boatmaster, Captain, go talk to them. As the Lord Spook has said, in this time of turmoil, we need to have our own representatives caring for their own items until some sort of formal constabulary is established.
And Tony is just going to continue to stare at him.
I think at this point, this guy's just going to throw his arms up in frustration and just turn and walk back into the building.
and Tony just kind of slyly smiles to himself and then turns back to the other conversation.
Lord Falcom's trying to find a boat.
Okay, so you just walk away from the rest of them and head towards the captain?
Head towards someone with an actual boat, not complaining about a boat that they need back. Because we need a boat.
Well, I put my hand out to the guy for him to shake, and I say, "We'll do our best, and we'll come talk to you about the reward after we get your boat back."
I'm guessing we didn't ask about spare boats, did we?
There's a couple other captains there with vessels in dock.
Okay. Can we head towards one of them, and whichever one seems to be the least amount of busy?
And then before you take off, he gives his name to you, Merida. He is Allegren, but goes by Gren.
Tony is going to kind of pull Merda aside and say, "Merda, perhaps it might be a good idea to listen in on what our administrator is saying, just in case he might be somewhat in league with our boat thieves."
And Merida just kind of looks at you and "When did you get a brain?" And kind of motions for you to lead the way.
And Tony just kind of looks shocked. He's like, "Oh my god, I did."
We're going to say 2 and 2 here, Tajmil and Falcom and Merida and Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony and Merida, why don't you guys give me a physique roll for sneaking up to the, the window or something. And then, Merida, I'm going to give you a bonus, just 1 die, because you won't need to be nearly as close as Tony would. So, both of you will roll 3 dice.
Okay.
Oh, well, Tony doesn't want to actually do the listening in himself. I wanted Merida to do it. And I'm thinking that if she doesn't hear anything, then my plan will be to have Tony create a distraction for her to sneak in and poke around.
Merida, give me a wits roll of 9.
I got 2 3s, 2 4s, 2 5s, and 2 6s.
You're kind of just hanging out at the corner of the building, and one of the windows is open, and you just hear this guy complaining to one of his underlings about not bringing people to him with useless complaints that he has no control over, just browbeating this guy underneath him.
Alright, so I walk over to Tony, and I'm like, "Yeah, he's just complaining. I'm not sure we can find out if he's in league with them just by listening."
Tony just strokes his chin thoughtfully, trying to look like he knows what he's doing.
All right, let's jump over to Lord Falcom and Tajmil for a second. You can see on the side of the ship that there's a name painted in gold lettering there called the Flying Coin.
and you can pick out the owner fairly easily. He seems to be arguing with a small group of people who are surrounded by a bunch of crates. And there's a small heated discussion going on. And then as you guys approach, the other guys pick up their crates and start heading towards another ship.
So we walk over, introduce ourselves, and ask him, like, what were you arguing with those other gentlemen?
These damn noblemen want to bleed me dry. My name's Palco. I'm the owner of the Flying Coin. And they just wanted to get the cheapest prices possible to Dryport, but I'm not interested in that sort of thing.
So you're out to make a buck, huh?
Honest businessman's gotta do business.
Well, isn't turning away business kind of hurt your bottom dollar?
He shoots a glare towards them as they leave, and then turns back to you. Not at those prices.
What sort of prices were they asking?
Listen, this is none of your concern. Do you have business with the Flying Coin or not?
We want a boat.
Do you want to buy her off me?
No, just passage.
Well, that's perfect. I can give you passages at a reasonable price as long as you've got the coin. And he kind of like looks expectantly at you as if, he wants you to produce it right then and there.
Whoa, buddy. Listen, we're moving a little fast. Why not some foreplay first? Let's talk some numbers. What are we expected to pay you for this travel?
About 100 gold boxings. I'll get you to Dryport. 50, I'll take you halfway. We can negotiate some other prices in the meantime if you need to go any certain length of time or not. But 100's the hard price to Dryport. That's the going rate. Any ship will turn you away for anything less.
I come bolting back. I will actually do this so quickly, I'm going to do a coin push.
Well, Tony is in the middle of stroking his chin when he sees Tajmil fly into the air, and he's just like, whoa!
Say, Tubular dude, we need you down at the boat area, man. We got this fool who is we're trying to negotiate travel prices, and I think that your uniqueness would be an asset to sealing the deal.
Tony is like, yeah, I can negotiate. And then he like kind of looks towards Merida as if he needs permission.
And she kind of does the shoo motion, like, shoo, go away.
On it. And then, like, walks over, like, strides purposefully over to the guy with the boat. And he says, I understand we're negotiating a price for passage to... And then he turns to Tajmil, like, where are we going?
To Dryport.
To Dryport. And he says it as if, like, he'd totally known the whole time.
No negotiations about it. 100 boxings will get you all there. You got 4 of you, right?
Tony, like, pulls out his fingers and counts. Yeah, 4. But listen, my man. Business. You know how it is. You can't just set the price. You have to at least try and negotiate. It's the way things work. And again, Tony pulls out his pocket watch, and he says, there's such a thing as long-term investments in relationships. And he puts his pocket watch back. And at the same time, I want him to riot a sense of desperation in the guy. And then he says, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, that kind of thing.
Give me a roll.
He rolled a pair of 4s.
All right, well, if you're a real desperate man, not that it looks like it, I'm sure we could negotiate something. You could work your passage all the way there and give you a greatly reduced price if you're worth every boxing that I put you to work for. What kind of discount do you need? And then he kind of points to a group. It looks like a family that's a little worn down. They're going to be scrubbing every single pot and pan. We're going to be helping lift the anchor and drop it. And everything that my crew hates to do, like scrubbing bilges off of it when we get there.
I love scrubbing bilges, I say.
Tony says, work? I'm sorry, my man. I must have been too subtle. I was implying an exchange of potential favors in the future. An exchange of potential more business for if we need further passage, or say that my family or their contacts need someone to take care of something for them, or ship some things.
What family are you with?
Tony just kind of looks side to side, and he says, I'm not quite willing to divulge that at this moment.
All right, give me a charm roll.
That's 4, right?
Yep.
Oh, I got nothing.
And he's going to point at Lord Falcom and be like, this bugger right here, he can tell you, I already turned one person away that was willing to cheat me out of my well-deserved money. If you're not willing to pay the price, you can go on some other ship and the flying coin will do just fine without you.
And Tony just kind of like does the shucks motion. He's like, darn it, I thought I could do this. All right, I'll pay.
Resources roll. You've already spent 1, so it's 7. And then this is just going to be a difficulty of 1.
Yeah, got a 5. Well, a pair of 5s.
Alrighty, go ahead and mark another 1 spent, and you guys have negotiated passage aboard the flying coin.
Awesome.
Let's switch back over to Merda. And Merda, what is it that you wanted to do?
I followed Tony over. I just didn't care enough about him.
Okay, so you guys aren't doing anything else with the administrator building?
Nah, if we find the guy, we'll find out if they're in cahoots.
Anything else that you guys want to do before you get on the boat?
Yeah, I eagerly asked the boat captain, where's the bilge pumps out on this vessel?
I'm not sure they would necessarily have pumps yet. They might, it's all confusing because of how...
Alright, then 180. I say, are we getting peanuts on this cruise or what? You know?
Well, passage includes victuals the whole way there.
Awesome. So then I'd start chowing down on a box full of fiddles.
The victuals was the word that he used.
Oh, victuals. I'd start chowing down on a box full of victuals.
All right, John, what was that you asked Merda?
Oh, I asked if she was going to take any notes for her book about the dock place.
I kind of give Tony, like, this really, like, annoyed, just like, what the hell is wrong with you stare? And I'm like, excuse me, have we met?
Yeah, I'm Tony, and you're Merda. I know that one.
I just give a long-winded sigh and walk away.
Palco is going to lean over to Lord Falcom, who seems to be the most agreeable one of the group so far, and he's going to be like, he sure likes to tell other people how to do their jobs, huh?
Mm-hmm. Where's the beds at?
Alright, he brings you guys on board and shows you around, shows you the crew quarters, shows you the area where you can hang out on deck without being in the way. You see that other family kind of hanging out on the deck, anxious to get going. And, you guys want to do anything before you take off, or just start heading out on the boat?
Start slapping the side as we're casting off from the dock going, woohoo!
I'm gonna walk over to the family and ask them, like, how they're doing and their business to whatever we're going.
This family, there's an obviously married couple, and then there's another person another man who seems to be about the same age as them, who just looks just a little bit downtrodden and just a little worse for the wear, like he's not very happy with his lot in life right now. And then they've got a young son with him. Who is it that you want to talk to?
I'm just gonna talk to them as a whole.
We're heading out to try our hand at homesteading in the roughs. We've not been able to find our fortune here in Elendel, and we think maybe if we make our way out there, we can find our own luck. And that was the man of the married couple that was speaking.
And I'm gonna just tell them that I wish them luck, and that if they ever need a favor for a favor, they could come find me.
They nod.
Tony is just going to find what looks like the most comfortable place to lounge, and then he's going to pull out Fluffles and just kind of pet Fluffles while he begins his usual affection rioting.
Okay, are you on the deck?
Depends. Is that the most comfortable seeming spot?
There's not really any chairs up there, whereas there would be some in your crew quarters. Like some chairs that have been bolted down, like a bunk.
Then he'll be in the crew quarters.
Or I guess not necessarily the crew quarters, but like your quarters that you've booked passage for.
Tony's definitely going to the most comfortable seeming spot.
And then Falcom, you were in there as well?
Yeah, he's going immediately to bed.
I just start taking a box of victuals and I'm throwing them at the fish, slapping his side. Woohoo! Let's go!
Palco runs up to you and grabs the food out of your hand. This is for eating, not for the fish.
No, I know, but I needed another box, and you said you're supplying him the whole way there, and I give him the old elbow, like, come on, pal.
Listen, it's been a while since I've had to lock up the storeroom, but if I can't trust you to only eat the food, then there's no reason that I shouldn't protect my wares. Either that, or you can pay some extra, and you can eat as much food as you want.
Oh, okay, I take him up on this offer. What do I need to roll?
Roll your resources, which is 4.
All right. Oh, I got a 1, a 3, a 4, and a 6.
Yeah, I've set the difficulty at 1, so you're not going to get any consequences at it, since the nudge will bring you up to 0.
So then I slump over the side of I go over to the railing and I just like,
Okay, with that, I think that the boat will set sail down the river. Did anybody want to tell Palco what you're after, or are you just kind of keeping your eyes open as the ship makes
is
its way?
taking a nap.
Merda says nothing.
Tony wouldn't think of it. Tony was too disappointed that he didn't manage to successfully negotiate.
We'll say it goes to the next day, because if I read the map correctly, it was about 50 miles or so between Elendel and Dryport. And so the night passes uneventfully. Do you guys want to do any pre-planning, like how you're going to handle it when you catch up to these guys? Like, this is a good time to do some in-character interactions if you so choose.
I sit there and I'm flipping a coin and I'm skipping a couple off of the water. And then I go over to Tony and I in the crew quarters. And I just start bothering him, asking him, what the heck are we going to do when we get to Dryport?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Wait, am I the leader now?
No, but you always seem to have a lot of the answers to the problems.
Oh, and Tony just puffs out his chest and he's like, well, I guess maybe I am. I think when we find them, we should stop them and get the metallurgist back.
I completely just facepalm at how obvious of an objective that is. And then I turn over to Meredith and I'm like, so, do you have any suggestions on what we should do when we actually arrive? What do we know about this so far?
Well, first off, when you turn around to see her, she has her palm on her face too, because she face-palmed. She says, well, I think we should try to be diplomatic and try to make them feel at ease that we're not following them, kind of trick them into letting us on, and then we surprise them and defeat them and take the metallurgist.
What do we know about Dryport geographically? Is there anything in your notes that can reveal about that spot?
Do I roll my resources?
It depends on how deep of information that you want to know, or if you're just looking for its
more
basic
so
location
like
and whatnot.
the topographical layout of it. Like, is this going to be something that, they're up a hill and they have a fort there where they're holding the metallurgist, or is it something that's like a flat land? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I'd just look up basic information.
So I can probably just give you guys, the basic information of Dryport. It's a little bit east of the city, about 50 miles, like I said. It's uniquely situated among any of the other fledgling cities in that it's built right in a unique bend in the Iron Gate River, where the city is actually surrounded on 3 sides by the river, and as such, it's become the hub where most of it's starting to become the hub. In the future, it will be where most of the canal boats are built because of its number of dry ports that they can build the ships on before filling them with water to send them out to sea, which is how it got its name originally, is that was their plan when they went and scouted out the city. It's about 10 years old at this point. Elendel had been built and was starting to flourish and get to the point that it is now when a group of people set out to found it. And you would know after talking to Palco that it's where the flying coin was built. And also that the fastest way to get there would be by
Tony
canal
pipes
boat.
in and says, if we want them to feel comfortable, I could do another magic show. Or I could introduce them to Fluffles.
Merda's like, dear God, don't introduce him to Fluffles.
How does Falcom feel about the situation?
Falcom has been asleep this entire time.
And Tony notices him waking up, and he's like, "Hey, good morning, Falcom."
Morning.
And he extends Fluffles. He's like, "Would you like to get an early morning pet in to start your day right?"
Falcom is going to retch like he's seasick. Just, and back away. He's trying to get away from Tony and his demonic pet.
Wait, did he retch onto Fluffles?
No, just not an actual full throw up, but just it looks like he's about to throw up. Nopes right out of that situation.
Well, Merda's gonna kind of sneak over and kind of like look a little at Fluffles and is like, hey, I'm sorry about earlier. Do you think I could get a cuddle in with Fluffles?
Oh, absolutely. And he just hands Fluffle over.
I just pick him up, go to the corner, sit down, and start like pulling out my notebook and writing more notes about Fluffles as I'm staring at him in my lap and petting him.
Tony just smiles like a proud parent.
All right, we'll go ahead and say that in that information packet, you started looking at it a little bit more and found some more information in there. Not much more, but than what I said last time, but just that there were about 5 people that were spotted heading towards the docks when a canal boat was stolen, and
Tony just pulls out his dueling cane and looks as dangerous as he can manage.
I'm gonna say Merda's sitting there with Fluffles on her head as she is like writing hands for, like, just dedicated in the book.
All right, you kind of feel like each of its like rabbit legs kind of scratching at your hair as you sit there. Everybody, give me a wits roll.
All 2 of them.
Plus anything?
What is my wits roll? Let me
Don't think so, unless Merda is burning 10. But if you're burning 10 like continuously, we'll say that you've gone through an entire vial at this point. Or if you're just saving it, then give
I don't have
just your
anything.
basic
Yeah,
four.
I only burn 10 at the administration. I got 3 ones.
I got nothing.
I got nothing but a 6.
I got
Count
1, a
those.
2, a 3, and a 6.
Merda, you in the distance kind of notice an area where there's like a small tributary that pulls off from the main boat, but you don't notice anything beyond that.
Okay, I'm gonna talk to the captain and be like, hey, what's that over there? Do you know where it leads to?
Not wide enough for our boat, but it's just another stream that feeds into the river. River as big as this needs a lot of them.
Tony followed, and when he says it needs a lot of them, Tony just says, "Why?"
It's a big river, son. Something's got to feed it. It's hungry.
Oh, that makes sense. Tony says, "So what would fit down there?"
A smaller craft might be able to fly up the river like that, but nothing as big as my baby, the flying coin.
Wait, you have boats that can fly?
That's just a name, son. And he pats you on the head like he's a proud parent.
Hey, watch the top hat.
Yeah, he'll pat you right on the hat.
By the way, Merida still had Fluffles on the top of her head.
Which means Tony's still riding affection.
All right, give me a roll.
Pair of 5s and a nudge.
Yep, that beat him. So after he finishes patting you on the head, he just kind of goes over and like pets Fluffles a couple times with almost like a doped up smile on his face.
Tony will ask if he has any smaller craft on the boat, especially flying craft.
No, not on this boat, but some traders like to keep the smaller, quicker vessels that can travel up the river a little faster than this thing can. So get rid of some cargo space for increased time efficiency. I'm not one of those people, but my good friend recently lost a ship like that.
Tony whispers to Merda, maybe someone at Dryport will have a boat that actually flies.
And Merida whispers, you're an idiot.
And Tony's like, yeah, that's true.
So I asked him about his friend that he said lost a boat recently.
Well, I'm sure you heard about it. It's got to be that the scoundrels that took the metallurgist came to the docks in the middle of the night. The boat was gone.
I have a question for you, though. All right. Why would you make a conclusion?
No, I'm not giving you any more food.
No, I don't need any vigils anymore. Trust me, I could swipe them from you at a moment's notice, for I am, and then I do a flamboyant stance, a master thief.
All right, he waves over like a crewman and hands him what looks like a small lock. He's like, put another one of these on the food storage.
And Tony immediately claps when Tajmil finishes his flourish.
And the reason that I say this is why would you think that somebody who is a kidnapper would also steal the boat in the process?
Well, I don't think that they're professional kidnappers. I happen to think that they came from Dryport to take one of the most well-renowned metallurgists for the city itself. There's been a lot of tension between the two cities as they grow and compete with each other. We traders try to stay out of it, of course, but, you know, what can you do in an economy like this other than play two sides, not necessarily against the middle, but against the competition?
I get that. Now, I understand your standpoint on the vigils, but here's the whole thing. I need something to eat right now. Do you have a fishing pole? Maybe I could just catch something and eat that.
There's going to be no fires on this boat, son.
Even if I,
Unless you want me to give it to you raw and wriggling.
Yeah, sure, why not? I'll take my chances. I've got to eat, man. We're on this boat trip, and you got to eat.
All right, he lets you use a fishing pole.
Okay, so then I just go slank off it and do my own thing.
Right. Merida's gonna ask the guy if he can tell us more about the feud between the cities.
I'm sure you know how it is. As soon as you get a piece of land you can call your own, you start to think that maybe you should have the best and brightest for it, especially when it comes to something like a city. Something akin to the old noble house wars that used to happen under the Lord Ruler, you know. Somebody has something somebody else wants, and you gotta take it if you want it.
While he's saying this, Tony just kind of like looks down and like kind of almost angry looking in his eyes, and he just mutters, "Mother."
Merida's gonna ask one last question. She's gonna ask where she can find, like, the person in charge of the city.
Well, I'm sure there's a central manor house. Probably built it 3 stories just to one-up the Lord Spook, but none of my business. If they want an extra load of lumber every single trip, well, it's money in my pocket.
Tony nods at this. And then Tony is going to go find Tajmil and ask him if he's a really good fisherman.
Okay, and I'm sitting there on the side of the boat, and I have to ask, is this a cane pole or a rod and reel?
It'd be a cane pole in this era, probably.
Okay. All right, so I'm just jigging it on the side, and I think I catch something, and then it ends up getting snagged, and my hook comes off as Tony arrives, and I look at him like, "Aw."
And Tony's just like, "Oh, you almost caught one. You are good at this."
I then proceeded to set the cane pole aside and be like, "No, I'm not really good at fishing at all. That's why I've stolen my whole life. I'm a big thief," I say to him with a grin.
And Tony says, "Well, aren't you stealing the fish from the river?"
And I look at him and my eyes get wide and I think, I've never really thought of it that way, but you're right, you know. And I glean something from this exchange that I'm having with Tony. like he just basically set my life a little bit better. You know, like he's teaching a man to fish.
The philosophy of Tony Darkomancy.
And Tony gives a winning smile with one of those like starbursts on the side. Ding!
All right, Falcom, what are you doing in all this?
Probably just sitting on the top of the barge, just chilling. You know, taking in the scenery.
All right, so the boat comes like right up next to the stream. Give me one last wits roll, but everybody add 1 to it.
Okay, so 5.
1 die?
Yeah.
Oh, I got 2
You
4s.
really want us to see this, don't you?
Yeah, I've been trying. I've really been trying.
I have 3 1s and a 6.
I tried to give you like as many clues leading up to it so we didn't have to rely on the roll, but
I got nothing but a nudge.
I got 2 nudges.
alright, Tajmil. Thankfully, you notice far, far upstream what looks to be like a small blob that doesn't look like any trees or bushes, like half in the river, half on the shore.
Hey guys, there's something up ahead. It looks like it could be like is normal Nadarias in this universe?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Like Nadaria is like jellyfish, man-o'-wars, and I think I think that's it. There might be some types of anemones that are
Yeah, there probably would be, but this is like far enough away that like you can tell what's a tree and you can tell what's a bush, but like they're blobs on the horizon as far away as this is, and then this is like nestled up on the shore, and it doesn't look like any of those things. But it's large.
like, oh, does it look like a giant octopus or squid?
You can't really tell any details from this point. but
Hey
you can
guys,
just tell-
get a load of this. There's something in the distance.
10 Eyes, tell us what's up.
Merida looks at you and said, "Did you just call me Tin Eye?"
Yes?
I glare at him, and then I turn off to the distance, burning tin, to look at it.
Well, right at this moment, Fluffles just like poops on her head.
Okay, you say we see a boat?
Kelly sees the outline of a boat when she burns tin.
Okay, here's what I would immediately do in this situation. How far away from our vessel in the boat is there?
It looks to be at least like an hour walk or maybe a little bit more.
How can I push to it?
Oh, definitely. Like that's something that you would excel at, is like getting there quickly. But I'm also going to say that you're going to have to spend a resource to get there, like in a really short amount of time, leaving everybody else behind if you want to do that, since you're like using so many coins.
Yeah, I'll do that then. So what resource is 4? So I need to get rid of 1.
Well, just put 1 in the spent column.
One spent. Okay, so then now what do I need to do to roll?
All right, so you get there and you notice that it's a ship that has been run up onto the shoreline, and it matches the description of the ship that was stolen. And you look around a little bit, and you find at a nearby tree a collection of horse droppings.
Okay, so I go onto the ship and I start immediately looking for valuables.
Okay, give me a wits roll.
Okay, 4.
Or actually, no, roll spirit.
Spirit? Okay, 6. Okay, I got 2 5s and 2 4s.
Okay, you find a rod and reel fishing pole, and you also find enough valuables to make up the resources that you spent getting there.
Okay, do I see of anything of value in terms of like dirt on the original ship owner that was in the thing? Like, was there a reason why they targeted him and stole it? Like, was it chock full of drugs, or was it,
I'll say I can give you an embarrassing secret about that guy instead of everything else. So one or the other.
The embarrassing secret. Let's do that.
Okay, yeah, add that to your secrets known. Embarrassing secret about Allegren.
Okay, so back to Merida and Fluffles pooping on her head. She just, like, stands, like, rock still before lifting to pick up Fluffles, goes over to Tony, picks up his hat, puts Fluffles in it, and then puts it back on his head, and then walks off to the bathroom to wash off her head.
As Merida's approaching, Tony notices, like, the white liquid kind of sliding down the side of her face. And he pulls out his handkerchief and he's like, "Oh, sorry about that. Fluffles does that sometimes," and just kind of starts wiping it off with the handkerchief.
Palco is going to walk over to Falcom and like kind of nudge him and be like, "He's going to make it back before we're around the bend, right? Because I'm not stopping for him."
That depends on how he's feeling today, I guess. I'm sure he'll find his way back. I mean, The river only goes a couple directions, right?
Well, that might be the case, but even Coinshot might have trouble keeping up with us if he runs out of coins.
They were headed in the direction of this boat, right?
No, they're continuing along the river whilst you're on a stream offshooting.
Okay. So then, if that's the case, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start looking for ways that I can get this boat back onto the river. I look around and I check the inventory of the boat, and do I find anything of use? Is there like a block and tackle system? Is there some rope, chains, I'm guessing? How big is this boat?
It's fairly large. It's not like completely, like they didn't pull it out of the water. You can tell that they just kind of like steered it off of the stream to beach it. But we'll say that there's like enough metal in there that if you were able to brace yourself on a tree, you could attempt a steel push to put it out, especially if you flared your metal.
Okay. What does that mean, flaring the metal?
It means that you use it up quicker and you get like a quick, powerful burst.
How much does Tajmil weigh?
Well, yeah, he'd have to brace himself against a tree for sure.
At what point does he hurt himself?
That depends on his role.
Yeah. Oh boy, and I'm by myself too. I've always got my bird, old Lassie, that I hope would be, in case I got hurt, would be able to find the boat. But yeah, let's do this because I want to get that cash from that dude, and so I look, and is there a tree nearby that I can do this, or do I have to dig a hole? Like on the
No, we'll say that there's a tree near enough to act as an anchor.
Okay. So I go up to this tree and I start meditating, and I take my bird out, and it's like, caw, caw, and then it goes and sits on the tree, and I get up and I rub my hands together and I put them forward and I get ready to push this leviathan of a vessel back into the river. So what would I have to roll for that?
Okay, so you're going to lose 1 health from physical strain automatically for pushing on a heavy object.
Okay, so I say damage, I take 1.
How many vials of metal do you have?
I think I have 2.
So 20 minutes. We'll say it took you about 10 minutes to get there, flying by coin.
Okay.
With your steel flaring, it's going to increase your rating to 6. And then we're going to say you use up the rest of one of your charges. So you'll have 2 charges left in one of your vials once you finish this.
Okay. Fair enough. So what do I need?
Roll 6 dice.
Roll 6? Okay.
And I'm going to set the difficulty at 3.
Okay. All right, I've got 2 4s, 6, a 5, and a 2.
Okay, yeah. So you take 1 point of health, which I see you already did. And you managed to push this boat back into the water.
Okay, and then I am going to have to coin shot to get back onto the boat then. Or can I just get back on?
We'll say that you, like, narratively speaking, you don't have to roll for it. You just launch yourself into the boat.
All right, and then I make my way to the helm, and I start heading towards Dryport.
Or back to the bigger boat, I assume?
Yep.
All right, give me a wits roll to see if you know how to properly steer it.
Okay, so 4. Oh, a 6, a 4, a 2, and a 1.
Okay, so you actually end up beaching it on the other side just a little bit, and we're gonna say that the boat has taken 1 point of damage, and we're gonna give it a health of 3.
Okay,
but after it takes the 1 point of health, you manage to figure out the controls and start heading back towards the rest of the group.
Okay, thank God.
That's a good place for us to end tonight. Tajmil stole himself a boat, even though he couldn't steal a fish out of the water. Let's give out some advancements before we finish up. I do want to give everybody 1 for an episode completed. Tajmil, you're going to get another 1 for your continuing to roleplay an excellent character, wanting to steal everything in sight. And I think I'm going to leave it there for everybody else.
Bye-bye.
Mistborn and all related properties are owned by Brandon Sanderson and Dragonsteel Entertainment. The Mistborn adventure game is a product of Crafty Games. Special thanks to Steve Argyle for letting us use his artwork for the logo, and to Boardroom Design for putting the logo together for us. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at LLOS Podcast, or give us an email at lostlegendsofscadrial@gmail.com. We hope that you'll like and share and give us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.